I was just dancing and I got distracted.
I know, right? I know. I do that too. Every time the song comes on, I'm dancing to it. So it just ended. And so there we were dancing. So
there we are.
Hey, Corner Crew. It's Christina and Cindy with Adaptive Equipment and Caregiving Corner. And we are live with this latest edition of Engines Off.
Yes, absolutely.
And today we are talking about Go InstaCare, which is a caregiver app.
Yes.
And it's also online.
Yes.
We are having a little technical difficulty. We were going to have the founder of Go InstaCare on here. His name is Amit. And he's having some difficulty getting on here. So Cindy and I are going to kind of fill in some time.
That's right.
Talking about it because
we've seen it and we love it and we're very excited about it.
Amazing.
Yes.
Yeah, yes. It is such a great, is such a great app and the online thing. We've actually looked into it because not only, so maybe we need to back up.
We're getting too excited.
I know. I'm so excited about it. So Cindy, so I'm just going to kind of read a little bit about Amit.
Right.
And hopefully he'll be able to hop on here.
Right.
So today we are going to dive into the world of affordable, accessible InstaCare. We're thrilled that Amit will hopefully be joining us later. And he is the founder of Go InstaCare. Amit's journey is one of personal inspiration turned into groundbreaking solution. Growing up in India, he witnessed firsthand the challenges faced by families caring for elderly loved ones. This experience fueled his passion to create a system that would alleviate the burden on families struggling to afford professional care.
Right.
I mean, that's
major.
everybody, right?
That is major.
So hopefully, like I said, Amit will be able to hop on here and we can ask him maybe some of the background story about Go InstaCare and his background in healthcare in general.
Right. But let's talk about kind of what we've seen, what we love about the app.
Yeah.
It's he kind of describes it as what Uber Eats Match.
Uber meets Match.com.
Yes.
Yeah.
Uber Eats.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's
Cindy's
true.
got food on her mind.
I've got food.
She was just telling me she's hungry. So it's Uber Meets. So it's very gig oriented.
Yes.
So whether you are the caregiver looking to pick up some care, a client that you want to care for. Maybe you were a caregiver as a family caregiver, and you wanted, and maybe that journey ended, and you found out that caregiving is your jam. You're a good caregiver. So what you could do is register yourself on GoInstaCare.com as a caregiver, and then families would hop on there, and they would be able to kind of go through the caregivers that are available in their area. It's zip code. It's driven by
your zip
region.
code, and then how far out you want to go, 10 miles, 20 miles, so you kind of search in that region.
Yeah.
The other interesting thing about it is there's going to be, as this develops, there's going to be so much information on there about the caregiver, as far as, what are they certified in? Have they been drug tested? Have they been background checked? All of this information.
That's huge.
It is huge. It is huge.
Because I think sometimes, matching that caregiver, even their personality, with the right family or the right care recipient, can be big. Because I know in therapy, you don't jive with everybody, that you have. It's just personalities, right? So I think that will be, families will find that advantageous to be able to,
Yeah. And the interesting thing with this is Amit is really working those components in to have these caregivers that are signing up for work to have the opportunity to go ahead and get background checked and drug tested and work on getting, some basic skills under their belts.
Yeah.
And, being able to either be an independent entrepreneur as a caregiver, or there's also going to be the opportunity for businesses to come onto the app to search for employees possibly and look at different backgrounds and see what works for their company as well. Yeah. It's so intricate as far as, it's so easy to use, but yet intricate in what you can find out about the caregiver and their background.
Yeah, because you can filter. It's got filters, and you can kind of filter things out. So like smoking, non-smoking, male, female,
CPR certified, not CPR certified.
Dementia, maybe dementia certified, and they'll have those little badges on there.
Right. And that's so interesting because like we were talking about, not everybody gets along with everybody. And if you're a caregiver and a care recipient, or a family for that matter, you are wanting to find that person. You don't want to go through 15 people. You want to do your best to find that person that really meshes with your loved one or the one you're trying to give care to, so that it's more of a long-term relationship as far as that caregiver and the care recipient.
And that reminds me too, they have the care recipient's family has the capability to, seriously, like Uber, they have the capability to rate the caregiver, and so, and that kind of gets attached to the rating gets attached to their profile. And so families know kind of going in, what they're getting into. And then also, I think, if you get a good rating, just like if you Uber, you see what that rating is. I think that would help then the caregiver maybe allow them to maybe ask for more money, a higher pay, so that they because they know
the more they're trained.
The quality care is there. I think I think that's awesome too. So you can go you can go online at GoInstaCare.com, or they also have an app. So you could get it at the Google Play Store or from the Apple App Store. You could download it. And besides senior care or family care, they also have,
I think they're developing into pet care, child care, I believe.
And like household chores. Like if you're looking, they're getting ready to do that as well. So if you're looking for somebody to come in, maybe do some light household chores, they're gonna be getting into that as well. So
the interesting thing too is that when we were speaking with Amit initially about this app, is his whole goal. I mean, he's run a homemaker services before. He's had a home care business, I believe, in Illinois.
In Illinois.
And
Chicago.
He kind of knows the ins and outs and the troubles of the business side as well as the caregiver side. He's been a caregiver, for family members. One of the interesting things that he said to us that we were really excited about, and this is so true, is that it takes to get a caregiver for a loved one. It can take up to 10 days for that process to happen. And his goal is to get that process down to 2 hours.
10 days is a long,
that's a long time.
And the caregivers in the audience, a day, 2 days, 3 days is a long time, but yet 10 days is is a long time. And so getting that possibly down to 2 hours to be able to, from the time that you try to go and look for a caregiver to making that connection, getting something set up, that's going to be an amazing thing. The other thing that I like on the platform is that you are able to, if you find a caregiver, you're able to communicate with them, but you don't have to give the phone number. There's no real connection as far as phone numbers or anything like that unless you initiate it. So you can message them through the system. You can message each other. Neither one of you actually has each other's phone numbers until you actually agree to that and you give that information. So a little bit of privacy there.
There's some privacy there.
For both parties.
So
since they've got we've got our problem solved. Amit is waiting.
Oh, yay. Okay.
To join us. So let's go ahead and bring Amit up and ask him our questions.
Yes.
Amit, welcome to the show.
Thank you, guys. Sorry, we had a hiccup on connection, but here we are. So I'm glad to join.
We were just gushing over your app, so we were just
It's kind of embarrassing. We call ourselves a technology company. I just couldn't connect. Sometimes it's newer systems.
It's okay.
I love the irony.
That's right.
Amit, that's awesome.
That's right.
There you go. Yeah.
Well, Amit, we've been talking about the app. We kind of got the audience caught up. Most of our viewers, Amit, are family caregivers. They are family caregivers. So we're going to ask you some questions about it, and just kind of keeping in mind that our audience is caregivers, and they are caregivers, and they will be looking. I'm sure going to your online or to the app. So you want to ask the first question?
The big thing I want to know, because this is a big deal. This is taking a lot of work to get this developed. So, we know that you had some experience caring for your grandmother. And in doing that, how did that kind of prompt you to start this vision on your Go InstaCare and really want to develop something like that for other caregivers?
That's a great question, guys. Thank you for asking. Well, I started my career as an engineer, right? And I was working into finance, but I knew that something was missing, right? I had a blessed life. I wanted to help people. That was kind of inculcated by my parents into us that, okay, you gotta, you have a great life. We're providing for you, and we need to help people. And they were helping everybody they could, and including my grandmother. So I'd seen firsthand how my mother couldn't afford a caregiver, and then she found a caregiver, and then she actually helped my grandmother herself. And we were little kids at that time, so we did our part. But that kind of stuck with me that, yeah, we got to help people when they are at that age. We need to figure out how to help them. So while I was crunching numbers, I met my wife during that time, and she was a nurse at that time. She's now a family nurse practitioner. So we started this company called Inspired Care in Chicago. And that went very well simply because we had that caring philosophy, right? So we were doubling our business every year, but then we were like, our son was born, and then his body was not coping with the Chicago cold weather.
Yeah.
So we had to make a decision whether to raise him on antibiotics or move out and to a warmer environment. That's how we moved to Austin. And that's where we were brainstorming. Okay, we sold our company. Now what should we do? I really don't want to go back to crunching numbers.
Right.
I found my purpose, right? So I wanted to give back to the society. So we thought, okay, there are three major stakeholders in the industry: caregivers, agencies, and clients who need services. So how do we solve for problems that exist in the industry for all three of them? So that's how Go InstaCare started. So we are now solving problems for all three stakeholders, and like you said, right, we're reducing the number of the search time from 10 days to 2 hours. We have solution for caregivers. We're doing a lot of things for them as well, and we don't see ourselves as competition for home care agencies, because we have solutions for them as well.
Yeah, and
Awesome.
that's the one thing I really, really like, because I think that's what a question I ask you right out of the gate is this going to be, are you going to be competing with those? And I love the fact that it's going to work for everybody. And it's a great.
Thank you.
Yes.
Inclusive app.
Yep, absolutely.
So if I were a caregiver, Amit, tell me what specific features or services that you have that Go InstaCare has that would help lighten my load.
Absolutely. Great question once again. So we are an end-to-end app. What that means is you can do hiring all the way to care management to keeping the history of that care. So a lot of times when I was managing a home care company, my clients used to call us and say, okay, can you give us the history of everything that we have spent on my mother's care? And they needed that during the tax time. So we not only stop at, like some other platforms, we don't stop at one step. We are solving from hiring a caregiver quickly, a reliable caregiver, affordable caregiver, and then managing the care. So caregiver can log in, log out through the app. So even if you're remote or you're working in an office, you don't have to worry about whether the caregiver showed up at 10 o'clock or not. And the caregiver, when they're supposed to go at 5 o'clock, they log out. So time management is done through the app as well. And then payment methods are also available on the app, so you can make the payment right away. And then in the end, the app actually requires you to provide a feedback on that caregiver. So what that does is it keeps on creating a ranking for this caregiver in the back end. And when you have a better ranking, you will show up higher on the list. And hence our thought process is slowly, if somebody is not doing a good job, or if somebody is only in for the money in this system, then they'll slowly stop getting jobs, and we'll have better caregivers on the platform. So that's the idea.
So we had a question from the audience, Amit. They were wanting to know, is the care time restricted?
It's not. So we have two options. We have an instant care, and we have a job post for later. So instant care is anything from 15 minutes all the way to 24 hours, because it's instant in nature, right? You need somebody right away. So it's maximum 24 hours, but you can book another service in advance for tomorrow and day after tomorrow and so on. But if you're looking for one constant caregiver, just like a traditional way of finding a caregiver, you could post a job your requirement, and then people can apply to that, and then you can hire somebody from that. So the good part is, as soon as you send a job requirement, it's not sitting in one place and somebody has to go and access it. It sends a message to all the caregivers, qualified caregivers, relevant caregivers in your area. And then those caregivers, I need to apply for it right away.
Okay,
that is awesome.
And we're getting some really great questions from the audience, Amit. So I hope you don't mind if we just kind of stick those in
Absolutely
there.
not. Yeah, all the
so
questions are welcome.
I'd like you to address this one. So are you contracted through the participating state? So if you can kind of talk about the different levels of caregiving from state to state, can you address that for us?
So right now we exist in Texas, Florida. When I say exist, that means we have majority of our caregivers in those states, because you have to have caregivers in order to provide service. So majority of caregivers are in Texas and Florida. We're slowly seeing some growth in Illinois as well as California and New York as well. So we are growing in those states. So since we are an online platform, these caregivers are not our employees. We're not required. We cannot require them or force them to do certain things. But what we're doing is we are forcing a background check on everyone, because we want to create a safe community, a reliable community, number one, right? Then we are including training as well, right? Very soon, in a month or so, we'll have a training on the platform, which is going to be, again, free for caregivers. So that when you're hiring a caregiver, that they are trained, and we'll display what kind of training this person has done, so you can be assured that if you need a caregiver for dementia, this person has that training, or somebody needs Parkinson's training or stroke training and stuff, you know that you are hiring a relevant caregiver. So state-wise, we're moving one state to another slowly. We want to do it strategically versus just grow and fail. So right now we're restricting our growth because we want to make the system better. We want to make all of these services that I want to include, like training, background check, drug testing, insurance, all of those things, so that we can create a virtual home care per se, and have the families just talk to the caregiver and hire them, and then make the payment, do the feedback, and all rest of it is taken care of by the system.
So before you hopped on here, Amit, we were talking about the different kinds of care that they were available through the app. So the pet care, the child care, the parent, the senior care. And so the biggest majority of your caregivers, the lion's share of your caregivers, are in Texas. Are all those services available in Texas? The child care? Okay.
Yes. So we have, if you think about it, a person who's caring can care for your child, can care for a pet, can care for a senior. So we thought that if somebody is a caregiver and they want to provide care to your child or a senior or a pet, then they should have that option. So the same caregiver could sign up for multiple services. But so if somebody is taking care of your parent and you love them, now you need a home care. Now you already know that you've given a feedback to this caregiver. And what app does is it figures out who you have hired in the past, and it asks you during the feedback, do you want to see this caregiver again in your searches? If you say no, then this caregiver is out of your sight. If you say yes, then this caregiver will continue to show at the top, because you have already hired this caregiver and you have given them good feedback. So that's how the system works. So majority of our caregivers right now are in senior care space, but we do have about 1,000 or so care providers that provide child care, and somewhere around 700 or so that provide pet care as well. Now this could be a mix, a same caregiver applying for 3 services, but there are that many caregivers that you can choose from. In Texas.
So is there a minimum? I would think the answer would be no, but I want to hear your answer. Is there a minimum amount of time that, or that when somebody, a family caregiver gets on there and they hire somebody, do they promise to have that caregiver hired for so many hours a week, a day, or
do they have to have?
Yeah, do you have to have?
Yeah. minimum time?
That's a great question. So that's a industry standard, is somewhere around 4 hours, I think.
Okay.
Some companies do it for 3 hours minimum as well. In our app, it's 15 minutes.
Oh,
So
wow.
so the way we thought about it is, and we had practical scenarios like this, was there are some people who live in senior homes or senior homes mainly, right? They need maybe 30 minutes of care in the morning, 30 minutes in the evening, or somewhat like that, right? So, and there could be multiple people that need some services like that, but they don't have an option at this point, right? They can't do that type of service early in the morning or so if there are multiple people booking the same caregiver, they have that option. So you could choose anywhere from 15 minutes all the way to 24 hours. There's no minimum. Again, it depends whether the caregiver is ready to accept it or not. But if you can find a caregiver, why not? So one of the other things that we realized was when we were looking for caregivers, we used to get a lot of great students who were studying for nursing.
Yeah.
Right. And they had classes in the morning, then afternoon they had some break, and then later on 3 o'clock they have some classes. So while they are waiting for the two classes, they were just sitting, wasting their time, or eating at McDonald's and stuff like that, or sitting at a Starbucks. They needed jobs, but we couldn't provide them jobs because it's hard because their schedules also changed. In this app, now they can say, okay, I'm available Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 3 a.m. to 4 p.m. or whatever, right? In those cases, families can see, yes, this caregiver is available for this time. I want to hire them. Voila, you have a job. So we are not only helping families, but also giving flexibility to caregivers.
Yeah.
Right. Amit, that's again, we were kind of, before you got on here, we were gushing about the app because we're really excited about this. But one of the things I wanted to ask you, because I know we've talked about, this is going to be good for agencies also. But I could see, so kind of tell us a little bit about, if I'm a caregiver and I'm like, well, should I go on this app or should I try to get hired by somebody else? There's opportunities both directions for agencies and caregivers, isn't there?
Right. Yes, absolutely. So a caregiver can find a job directly through the app with a family, or they can can get hired through the web platform by a home care agency. So the reason for that is we have about 11,000 caregivers on our platform. Not all of those 11,000 are shown to the families yet because they're in different stages of getting activated. So somebody may not have finished the background check. Somebody may have finished the background check, but haven't finished all the payment information that they, the type of payment they want to receive and all that. So it depends on which stage they are on. We do not show them until they have completed all steps on the platform to a family. But all of those caregivers are visible to home care agencies to hire because they have to fulfill their own requirements, some state requirements, some their own standards, some their policies and stuff. So there's a web platform for home care agencies, and it's a fantastic platform. A lot of our partners love that because they can filter through all of these caregivers. So imagine a scenario where your client gives you a requirement. I need a CNA. I need 5 years of experience. I need somebody who can speak Spanish or Polish or whatever. And I need somebody who is a female and I have 2 cats. So somebody who's comfortable with pets.
Yeah.
Right. So with all of that requirement, you can't post on Indeed and Google and stuff like that right now. You can post it in a job requirement, but you may or may not get those caregivers. And you have to filter through hundreds of applications when people apply through those job boards. Whereas on our app, you can filter through all of these criteria. And somebody says, well, my mom doesn't need anyone who talks too much. So there's a personality filter as well. So you can filter that caregiver based on their personality. And now you have a good match of out of 200 caregivers that you have in your area, now you have only 4 or 5 caregivers. Now, how does that work? Is once you have those 5 caregivers that match exact requirements of your clients, you just have to pay $3 to view their information, and everybody's phone numbers and emails are already verified. So when you're trying to interview with them, you know that you're contacting the right person. The other thing that we have on the web platform is you can actually break the ice with the caregiver through a chat. So that chat goes to them directly, and they get a text message as well, and they get, okay, somebody's trying to contact you. So when they go on the app, they actually can interact with the agency in real time. So this is a great way for an agency to reach out to a caregiver without cold calling them, because caregivers, get 4 to 5 calls a week for job offers, right?
Right.
Because of the shortage. So this way, agencies know that, okay, I'm trying to reach out. If the caregiver is interested, they can respond to me, and now I know I can So instead of spending $200 on a job post, you've spent only $15, and you have found the exact caregiver that you need.
That is awesome. That is awesome.
Yep. In addition to that, sorry, Christina. So in addition to that, we also provide qualified leads to home care agencies through this platform. So what our thought process is, a lot of families are trying to find these caregivers. Sometimes they can't find the right caregiver, or they may be confused on how to find a caregiver. So we ask them, would you like us to forward your information to a professional agency? If they say yes, we send their information to a agency in their area, to 3 agencies in their area. This way, as an agency, that this person is looking for care right now, and whoever calls first, generally they get the case. So you can grow your business through us as well. So it's again not a competition. It's more, let's survive together. Market is big enough for all of us to coexist.
Absolutely. So not only can the individual caregiver kind of run their own business, their own show, but then also the care agencies. So we had a question that came up, wanting to know if care agencies can use the services, and the answer to that would be yes. And also kind of going back to about the kind of training and expertise the caregiver has, that should reflect on their own profile.
Right.
And so then essentially that caregiver would be able to potentially ask for more money. I mean, speaking of having your own job, if you've got dementia care training, then essentially you would be able to maybe, and you've got that little the little emblem up there on your profile, you should be able to ask for a little bit more money because you have that experience in education and caring for somebody with dementia.
Right. That's,
absolutely.
Yeah, speaking of that, and I think this is a question, and just kind of to clarify in my mind also, again, caregivers can treat this as their own job, and your company is not setting prices. They determine that with what they're doing, right?
You're just organizing it for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We want caregivers to have full control. In my mind, I've met awesome caregivers, really caring caregivers in my lifetime, and I want them to be their own bosses. We think we want to grow our company, and sometimes some companies ignore the fact that caregivers are the essence of the company. Right. If the caregivers are happy, then they will provide better care. Your client satisfaction will increase a lot. And if they're enjoying their work and they're making enough money so that they don't have to drive for Uber, they will definitely provide the care day and night, right? So what we have done here is we allow the caregivers to choose what services they want to provide, what rate they think they could charge, because if somebody is great and they have positive feedback from all the other clients, they can charge higher if they wanted to. And they also have the flexibility of going online and offline with just a button click. Just like Uber, if you don't want to drive right now, if you're at work or if you're on vacation, you just go offline and you don't get any calls. You just go online and you get calls. Again, one of the scenarios, think about it this way, guys. If somebody, let's say, is living in Austin and is moving to Dallas, right now they have to change the job, give up their current job, go to Dallas, find companies, find a job, get a client, get acclimated with the case and whatnot. With us, they simply need to change the address. And now they're showing up in Dallas clients list. So with all of that flexibility, and then one last piece I want to cover here is caregivers also have the option to say no to a shift. For example, if caregiver and family are talking to each other through a video call, and families love the caregiver, but caregiver doesn't love the family, and family sends a request to the caregiver, at that point, caregiver has an option to decline that request. At this point, they do not get any negative marking on their profile. So they are their own bosses, literally. And if they accept a job and then cancel it, then yes, there is a negative marking. But overall, they can choose who they want to work with, how much they want to charge, when they want to work, and get paid right away. So just like, if Uber driver can get paid in this gig economy right away, why not caregivers?
Absolutely.
right.
It's
That's
very,
right.
it's very gig driven. And I love that because I
Mhm.
feel like that's, that's the
It's the
generation.
upcoming.
It
Yeah.
is the upcoming
Yeah.
generation. That's
Yep.
what they know as far
Mhm.
as,
Mhm.
working the job. I just think that's often very, very cool. We did have somebody ask about, and we kind of touched on this briefly about if a caregiver was able to speak different languages, then that would reflect on their profile.
Mhm.
Is the app itself available in different languages for those people that, maybe don't speak that English language and would like to still be caregivers
Mhm.
on your app?
So that's a fantastic question. I had thought about that, but we do not have that feature yet. However, I would say this: very soon, an AI feature is coming up on the app, and you can speak to the app, and all your input will be taken up verbally. So whatever, and I am guessing that AI would be powerful enough
Yeah.
to adopt to any other language as well.
Yeah.
So we'll have to test it, but I think that's a great point. I'm going to write it down to have a feature in the app. So thank you for your audience to pose that question.
Yeah.
Well,
think
and
that's a
I
great question.
love that because we're adaptive equipment, and
Mhm.
and that is just being able to put in the information verbally again is going to be more accessible for some of our clients
Absolutely.
that are needing care.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love it.
Very
Yeah.
cool.
We are very, very excited
Mhm.
about this app.
Yeah.
We've loved it and keep talking about
Yeah.
it. And I know that it's little bits and pieces of growth, but I think you're doing. I'm very impressed with how you're doing it, Amit. Just because a lot of people just want to get out there and
Yeah.
say we're opening up every state and here we go, and then then you run into trouble. I like what you're doing.
Yes.
I know there's going to be a lot of caregivers that are interested. So what we're going to tell you, caregivers, is this is going to be great. Keep looking at it. Keep checking. It's going
Yes.
to, and it will get to you.
Yep.
But just be patient if it's not yet, because he's working on it. But we want to make sure, and he wants to make sure that it's going to work how it needs to work, because it's going to be a good app.
Yeah. So somebody was asking about what are your goals for other states? So right now you're big in Texas. I think when we were talking to you also, you also had a presence up in Chicago, Illinois, at least in our big city of Chicago. But
Yes.
what's your goals for other states?
Yeah, so thank you for asking that. So right now we're in Texas and Florida. We have some presence in California, Illinois, and New York. And we are focusing on Texas and Florida right now. But next year, we want to add 3 to 5 states. Probably Arizona will open up, Illinois a little bit more, add some more in Michigan, Wisconsin area, so that we can cover most of the Middle East, right? Midwest. And then slowly add more and more caregivers on the East and West as well. So like you said, right, we will get to a stage where we want to just open it up for all the states. And we are getting caregivers from all states right now. We cannot stop people from signing up, obviously. So caregivers are signing up from everywhere, but right now we allow background checks and other stuff to be done, because it costs us a lot of money to be done in those 2 states where we want to focus for now. But I think next year we'll open up 3 to 5 more states.
Wow, that's fantastic. But I mean, you could still a caregiver family could still, or a family
search.
recipient could still check and
yeah.
search and
Absolutely.
and check to see, because when we were talking to you, now Cindy and I aren't near Chicago, but we were down we're down in southwestern Illinois, and so we found some people available. So
and that didn't take. I mean, I think it was within a few months that changed.
Yeah, because we have been checking it on a regular basis, and then the last time we talked to you, Amit, you walked us through it, and there was a number. It had grown. So
right.
I think it's just a matter of getting it out there.
We add about 1,000 to 1,200 caregivers a month right now in various states. And for agencies, it's very, very, I think that's a great point you guys brought up. And I forgot, we had a chat about this. And you saw that if you go to website and click on partner with us, you can actually see how many caregivers we have in various zip codes. So we may not have them available for families, but they are all available in different states for home care agencies. So if home care agencies want to find out how many caregivers they have within 10-mile, 20-mile, 30-mile radius of a certain zip code, they can do that today. And like you said, right, there are about, I would say about 1,000 caregivers in Illinois area. So if you enter a zip code, you would find a lot of caregivers in that area.
Yeah. And somebody made a comment on this too. And so since you're in some of the bigger tourist areas, I would say, if you are a family that has a loved one and you're going on vacation, go enter your destination. So if it's one of these cities that they're in or states that they're in, go to that location through that zip code and see if you can find maybe some respite care so that when you're there visiting, you can get a little bit of time to yourself to go do some touristy things.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that would be a great idea as well. So.
Yeah.
I love that. Thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah.
So if I am a caregiver, I'm going to ask this. So my first question is, okay, I want to be my own boss. I'm going to get on here. I'm going to sign up. How much is it going to cost me to get all of the drug tested and all of this stuff done? What's it going to cost me?
Zero. As a caregiver, we do not want to charge anything because we think that you're providing a care, and that's a very important job. And I don't think we're appreciating caregivers enough. So we're doing everything we can to provide everything for free to the caregiver. And even for families, the app is free at this point. Even if we do have plan to obviously make money because we want to survive, but the charges are going to be very minimal. So it could be anywhere. Right now we haven't even started talking about it, but it could be $1 per day, right? Or maybe $2 or $3 per day. So if you think about it, you're paying $20 an hour to a caregiver. For 5 hours, you're paying $100 to the caregiver. Paying $2 or $3 to the app for all of this care management and finding the caregiver, finding backups and whatnot is not a lot of money, right? So that's how we're going to work, and I think families are going to love it. We're already seeing a lot of families joining our platform. I think we're getting about 50 families on the platform every month at this point because we launched our family app very recently, the updated one, and we want to get to 500 families a month. So we'll get there.
Amit, that's, we learn something every time we talk to you. And I'm writing notes and everything, because that's a good way to look at it. Because even if right now, I know it's free to families, but even as a family, if I know that I need that continuous care, the caregiver, this is a whole management system. Besides finding that care, this is a management system to the point of, tracking the caregiver to make sure that they're there when they need to be there. And, are they going to be there on time? And it's just, that's a good point. It just light bulb went on. I'm like, yeah, sure, I would pay. It's a whole management system. I don't have to keep track of all that stuff or figure out a system for that. So yeah, that is very awesome. Very awesome.
So Amit, we have sponsors for this for our podcast. So we're gonna lead into a sponsor ad, and then we will come back and talk to you a little bit more.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Falling asleep with your head in the wrong position is a pain in the neck. You deserve Tausi Comfort for head, neck, and back support. Go to tausibrands.com and get your comfort on.
So that was
very cool.
Yeah, isn't that really, and very comfortable?
Yes.
Yeah.
I use one all the time for my office chair.
Yeah, and you travel with it as well.
I do travel with it.
The Tausi is.
Yes, I do travel with it.
It's all about the caregiver.
It's all about the comfort.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep, absolutely. So again, I can't quit saying we're excited about it.
Yeah, so you're online, Amit. Are you anywhere else on social media? If they have questions or comments or anything, what are some other social media accounts you have, and how could somebody get a hold if they had other questions?
Great question. So we do have presence on all social media channels. We do have Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, all of those. YouTube we're not that active on, but we do have some presence there. and even we're going to be on TikTok as well. We are on so on our website at the bottom, or I'm sure you guys will be posting something later on this video as well. So yeah, they can reach out to that way, or there's a contact us form on the website as well that comes directly to me. And I want to get that initially to understand what problems people are facing. So I want to be very involved in this so that we can improve the customer experience.
Yeah. So you're welcome. You welcome feedback, any kind of feedback.
Yeah. Absolutely. All good and bad. I want to understand. In fact, I'm more interested in bad feedback so I can improve it, because it's continuous improvement. So, my background was process re-engineering, right? In the corporate world. So I dealt with change almost every day. So I welcome continuous improvement, because that's how we'll make a small idea a great idea.
I love it. I love it. Well, Amit, we really appreciate you coming on here. Sorry we had a little bit of a snafu there at the very beginning. But I think we had some really great questions, and you have some great answers. I think your product is I think it's going to be a game changer for the caregiving and care recipient industry.
Yeah.
I feel like it's really, you're going to be dragging us into the 21st century and beyond. And I just think I think it's going to be great for family caregivers in particular.
And we really appreciate your support of those caregivers. They all get over, and we appreciate that support.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, thanks for coming on here, Amit. We really appreciate it. And everybody in the audience, we will see you in the next episode.
Thank you, guys. I really appreciate it. It was a lot of fun talking to you, and I appreciate the audience and people who dedicated their time on this and asked a lot of intelligent questions. Please do feel free to provide any feedback you have, any ideas you have, like how we just talked about the language idea. I'm going to include that in my and tell my tech team to figure this out. And please look forward to all the updates through our social media channels. Please join us on LinkedIn as well. We have a page on LinkedIn as well. And if you have any question, please feel free to reach out to us. Thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you, Amit.
Have a great day.
Thank you, Christina and Cindy. Take care.
You too.
Bye-bye.
So as you can see, you can grab the loops, and with the weights, it's going to allow that towel to stay. You don't have to grasp the towel. You don't have to